Hit the mute monster there. Welcome to a special edition of Two Goalies, One Mic. Joined by Troy Licastro from the Dave and Adams show, The Chase, giving you all the latest in your hobby needs when it comes to sports cards, any other types of memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy to talk to.
The collecting world.
Collecting world, exactly. And he's a part of the Wrestling with Emotion team. Big Mark right here, buddy. We're both big wrestling marks, so
huge marks.
Yeah, absolutely excited to have you on with me, bud.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah. First time meeting in person.
Exactly,
so.
right? I've met a lot of people for the first time, regardless. But it's cool to get out here at the to help wrap up the Dave and Adams POD-A-THON. Good turnout here today.
Yeah.
A lot of cool people I got to meet. And I've actually never been in this particular store, and this is pretty cool, man.
First timer, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's the first time for everything.
Yeah,
how does it feel? Like, do you feel like it's like the almost like a Disney World of collecting?
Yes, as advertised, man.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed it was this. Like, I've driven by this place a couple times, but holy shit, man, this place. It's wide and deep, man. It really is.
40,000 square feet, and I can't think of an inch of it that we don't use.
Right.
It's pretty much we use up every parcel of space we have here.
Yeah,
for sure.
And super excited to help wrap up this show. I was able to get here. Unfortunately, not on time. I had some stuff. I leave for California next week, so I have so much stuff to get prepared. Yeah, right.
Rub it in, why don't you?
Yeah, but super excited to get on here with you, meet you, and talk about the Sabres. A huge announcement just made. The Sabres have announced their captains for the 2022-2023 season.
Yes, sir.
Captaining, not a big surprise, Kyle Okposo, I think. Right. But the big surprise for me here is Alex Tuch not getting an A. You have Dahlin and Zemgus Girgensons. I understand it, though. Zemgus Girgensons has been here for a minute,
Right.
So I understand I'm giving the A. Is obviously respecting that locker room. And Dahlin had an A last year, so I understand them giving him an A. But Alex Tuch, I think, bleeds Buffalo. So I'd have to imagine that once their careers are over in Buffalo, Kyle Okposo and or Zemgus Girgensons, that Alex Tuch is probably the next captain.
Yeah, First of all, I noticed you took the wallet out of the back pocket. I don't want you to have the George Costanza problems, right?
Listen, look at this wallet. That is a George Costanza wallet. Receipts just flying
out everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Second of all, yes. Surprising, but definitely I feel like he is next in line. But you're right. We actually just had Tuch here this past week.
I saw that.
Yeah, he was here for a signing, and everybody I've talked to, people like my coworkers, but also people that were in here for the signing, said most down-to-earth hockey player they've dealt with or met. So, like you said, kid grows up down the 90, definitely feels like a guy who should be in line for at least an A in the next season or two, if not the C.
Yeah, for me, Alex Tuch, what sold me on him, outside of him just being from Buffalo, was the fact that find me a player that when he was traded from a cup contender at that time, cup contender, to legitimately the worst team in the league, and he got in front of that podium and he had a smile ear to ear on his face. That guy, that told me right then that is the future captain of this team, because you are not going to find, even if you are from Buffalo, like you're telling me Patrick Kane is smiling like that when he gets traded to Buffalo? Absolutely not, man.
No.
Not. He's so used to winning. Not that Alex Tuch isn't used to winning.
Right.
But it was just insanity how happy he was, how highly he spoke. The pictures that started coming out of him skating on the pond with the old red alternate jersey. I have that. I have a Hashtag jersey like that.
Yep.
I just all those memories he started to share the team, and that's when it started to slowly start to buzz around this team again. And then when he finally got back in the lineup after that shoulder injury, that's when the turnarounds, and then obviously the goal, the Eichel game goal on the empty net from the sharpest of angles.
I was there,
and I was actually on ESPN The Drop with Greg Wyshynski and Ardo O'Cal before that game. They had me come on because of my history with the Rant, and they had me come on right after their interview with Rick Janneret of all people, and they had me on and we talked about how the crowd might react and this and that. I would have never guessed that was as close to a playoff atmosphere as you are going to get with this hockey team.
That was unbelievable. First of all, that's some pretty good company to be following up there. On the drop there. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to go to that game, and that like you said, I mean, not to beat it like a dead horse or reiterate what Duane already said, but yeah, basically that felt like our Stanley Cup.
Yes.
Seeing Eichel just absolutely
implode during that post imploded.
Just had no role in that game.
No.
And oh my God, I feel like in other sports you see things where former players touch the ball, the puck, whatever you want to call it, and they get absolutely booed. But his boos were deafening.
Now here's the thing. I don't think it would have been as bad had he not revealed that he did in fact ask for a trade the year before.
100%.
I don't think it would have been as bad. But here's where I sit on the fence. Is for me, I understand why he wanted out. Because if you're being told you're rebuilding again for what, the second, maybe even close to a third time since you've been drafted by the team.
Yeah.
It's just like, for me, it's just like, how about we just move on and just, you get what you can from me. He was healthy at the time. And just, I get it. Listen, dude, I totally get it because you were already on your, his head coach he had Jason Botterill. Was Dan Bilesma? Was Bilesma the coach?
Was he right before?
He was on his like third or fourth coach at Buffalo.
Yeah, regardless.
And he's like second or third GM. It's just like, how can you expect a team to be successful with that kind of turnover at those two positions? So I understood it. Like, I got it, man. Because I can see where there isn't a commitment to winning. And then you see out of the off the ice stuff, the kind of ownership dropping the ball in a lot of certain situations, which kind of led to what happened with me. But you're just seeing not more of a commitment to the Bills than you did the Sabres. And I understood it. I got it. I didn't hate him for wanting out. But the comments after that game, so uncalled for.
Yes. I think I would double down and totally agree with everything you just said there. It's not so much what he did, it's how he
went about it.
It's how he went about it.
I can't express that more. It was just wrong to kind of call out the fans. And the fans were brutal. The fans were brutal. 100%.
Oh, it was bad. And you know what, too? I say this tongue in cheek, obviously, but let's not forget, too, in that game, Krebs does net one as well. So I always joke.
Yep. I think
we won the trade.
He had the first
one. Yeah. So, it's always the joke. Yeah, we won the trade.
I think Eichel's going to have a phenomenal year this year.
Yeah, you think he's going to have a bounce back?
I think he's going to have a 90-plus point season. 100%.
Wow.
He was close to a point-a-game player. He was a point-a-game player.
Yeah.
He was healthy with Buffalo.
Yes.
And I think that he has a good team, offensively at least, around him in Vegas. I think they're going to struggle more than maybe even us in that. Robin Leonard has the injury issues. They have Logan Thompson as their other option. So I just thought, for me, it's, they're going to struggle in net. But I think offensively, I think Phil Kessel is going to have a 30-goal season.
Yeah.
Playing on the line with Eichel, 100%.
Yeah. What a veteran ad for them. The guy can still skate.
They have Mark Stone.
Play.
They have a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
They have a lot.
Pacioretty still playing? Or
no, Pacioretty got traded.
Oh, he did
essentially
get traded.
Nothing. Yes, essentially nothing.
Like a washing machine.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's pretty much a salary dump because they just couldn't afford to pay all the players that they've been paying and expect to be competitive next year on the blue line and net. So I think the biggest mistake for me personally, they choosing Robin Leonard. I like Robin Leonard too. Choosing Robin Leonard over Marc-Andre Fleury. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
They could have really used Marc-Andre Fleury at the end of the season last year. Robin Leonard went down with that injury.
Well, so imagine especially like you said, at the end of the season when they were trying to make that, they were grasping onto that last hope of a playoff spot and a playoff run. And boy, did they need, Fleury in that moment, and they probably would have flourished. See what 100%. I did there? Flower flourished. They would have flourished with him.
Flower. I'm a huge Flower guy. Same. You can't find a better teammate than him. And
that's what I'm saying. I think he's a good locker room guy.
He got dicked around a lot, man. He got dicked around. I won't say he got dicked around with Pittsburgh, but then from Pittsburgh to Vegas, and then not being named the starter in Vegas, and the whole thing with Peter DeBoer, the sword with his agent. I forget. Alan. He does the Provocateur podcast with the Steve Dangle Network. Alan, his agent. It's super, super good. But and then getting bounced to Minnesota,
and then
where is he now?
Chicago. Right?
He was with Chicago. He got dealt to Chicago, and then he got dealt from Chicago to Minnesota.
That's what it was.
Yes,
you're right.
Yes,
so that's another. You're right. He's on his second team in less than
third team.
Third team.
Third team in 2 years. And this is a guy who got traded after winning the Vezina Trophy. He was dealt after winning the Vezina Trophy.
Yeah,
and
he was unreal that year.
He traded for nothing. He was traded for nothing. It was a salary dump for Vegas to Chicago, and then Chicago dealt him to Minnesota. So, like,
future Hall of Famer just being passed around.
Yeah,
like that
it was mind blowing. But I understand in the age of the COVID age, where the cap wasn't going up at all, and you had no flexibility, you had to make tough decisions. They made that with Pacioretty. They made it with Flowers. So unfortunate that a guy like him kind of gets the axe. The victim there, so to speak, of circumstances. But, with that being said, but again, Sabres announced their list of captains today. Again, if you're just joining now, Kyle Okposo leading the way as captain. Not a huge surprise. I still made an investment. I actually made an investment in Alex Tuch being captain. I got a Heritage Classic jersey, and I wrote in the comments, slap a C on that. And I posted it. I did it for content. Slap a C on that, and they actually put the C on it, which is great to me.
Amazing.
So I have a lot.
It's a good future investment.
I have a lot invested in Alex Tuch someday being the captain of this hockey team, and so that better happen because I am the first person. I am the very first, right here. You heard it here first. That has an Alex Tuch jersey with the captaincy on it. Me.
There can only be one first.
There's only one first. It's me. So I have a lot invested in that.
In my thing, honestly, I feel like you're just a Simpsons episode here, where maybe you're just seeing into the future, right? You're you're just getting ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense.
So, but so obviously Sabres got shelled yesterday 7-1 by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh playing most of the lineup. They had Crosby in the lineup. They had Malkin in the lineup. They had most of what you would see going into the season, whereas Buffalo, they sat Dahlin, they sat Samuelson, they sat Owen Power.
Yeah,
their big three on the blue line were sitting, and they got shelled 7-1. Eric Comrie in that. A lot of fans kind of nailing him with the cross right now. I don't really agree with that, man. It's it's preseason. It's preseason.
And we know the goalie situation.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So it's not like it's nothing new to us that. That's happening.
You're going into the season with both Eric Comrie and Craig Anderson. I'm a big Craig Anderson guy. I wish we would have had him 5-6 years ago. Because he was a great goaltender. Then not saying that he was a very good goaltender for Buffalo last year, considering the circumstances and how much he was getting shelled with shots every single game. But there was a lot of feel-good moments last year involving Craig Anderson, including that Heritage Classic game, including that Vegas Golden Knights game.
The Golden Knights game.
You know what I mean? Like,
what was the milestone he hit for wins last
300
year?
wins.
I was at that game
wins.
as
They
well.
presented him with a really nice, I think it was like a sword maybe or something like that. I have a picture on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm glad to have Craig Anderson back. And they brought him back for a reason. He's great in the locker room. So,
and that's what I feel like that's what they need is these locker room veterans, because this is a relatively young team. When you look at it.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why you went the direction you went with the captaincy with Okposo. Maybe it would have almost felt disrespectful to not give him the C. I totally understand that. Same thing with Girgensons. He should have an A.
Yeah.
But are they here beyond this contract they're in now? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But if Kyle decides to hang it up, because I know he's dealt with a long laundry list of injuries, especially with concussions. It's hard for me to not give the C to Alex Tuch. It really is. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
No, it seems like right now Kyle Okposo definitely, and this is nothing against him, but definitely like a placeholder. A placeholder. Tuch is very much an heir to the throne, I think, in a lot of ways for the Sabres.
Yes.
Including captain.
Again, you can't find a better ambassador, not just for the Sabres, but for the city of Buffalo.
Yes.
Like, he's almost like the Sabres version of Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just not as polarizing, nationwide as Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is essentially the baby face of the NHL right now. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like,
well said.
He's the baby face.
He is. He's a likable guy, and he backs it up. It's not just like a facade or a front or a character or a gimmick that he's putting on. He's definitely just that guy behind the scenes too.
Alex Tuch, he's not as polarizing, obviously, but he's that same thing for the Buffalo Sabres. He is a huge advocate for the team. You see him at Bills games. I was actually not far from him. I didn't even realize it when it was happening when he was doing his the shout chant. And,
really?
I was actually not. I was at that game.
That was the Monday night game, right? When he was,
where the Bills beat the Titans. Redemption from the previous season. Or I was also in attendance in Nashville for that game. That was a heartbreaker. But you're not going to see many guys, put themselves. He's not Alex Tuck, doing that on behalf of the Sabres. That's Alex Tuck doing that because he's Alex Tuck and he's a Buffalo guy.
Right. And you know what? Not to give Jack too much attention, but I feel like that was the thing too. He was a young kid, obviously great player, all like in the spotlight, maybe too fast, too young, too fast.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I just feel like, yes, Tuck is better suited for that kind of thing where you're going to be a community guy. You're going to be the franchise guy. So yeah, all the commercials, the radio spots, things you have to do. That's going to be Tuck. And I feel like he just genuinely he wants to do this.
Agreed.
He wants to be.
Like he said, it's a dream of his. This is always a dream to play in that jersey, to represent this team in this city. So, like, for me, it's just a foregone conclusion at some point he will hold the seat for this team. So it's not right now. Unfortunately, I have to wait to really pat myself on the back for being the first one, but I'm willing to wait. So, and I have no shame. I'll wear that jersey. I don't care. To me, he's the captain.
If anything, it's a conversation piece.
Yeah, exactly. So, but bold predictions going into this season. You have, obviously, Tage Thompson coming off a career season that I don't think anybody would have ever expected. 38 goals, got the big contract. Now even more pressure on him to perform. I think he's going to. I think that Don Granato has brought a lot out of him, along with the other players of his team like Dahlin. But my bold prediction for Tage Thompson is I think he eclipses the 40-goal area, and I think he's an 80-point or more player this season. I think he takes that next step. I think Dahlin is going to be a close second. I think he's really going to put himself in position to be in that Norris Trophy conversation next season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be damn near close to a point-a-game defenseman. And on this team, that says a lot. On this team, when you see it, Cale Makar, look at what he's surrounded by.
Yep.
When you see a guy like Roman Josi, look what he's surrounded by. Adam Fox with the Rangers, look what he's surrounded by. Teams that are a little bit further along in their development. So for me, for Dahlin to take that massive step is going to be huge for this team going forward. And, those are my two bold predictions. And I think a guy that could be on the chopping block for me would be Casey Middlestat. It's kind of like a put up or shut up season for him. Stay healthy. And if you stay healthy, it's time for you to really, justify that 8th overall pick this team spent on you.
Yep. Dahlin for sure. I think Dahlin possibly could be in the best spot possible where, he's kind of that veteran now, I guess you could say, but he's finally been living up to his number one overall pick.
Yep.
And he's starting to get surrounded with some great young players that I think are going to help him out. So he could take that role being a leader.
Agreed.
But at the same time, he's going to have guys that he can feed and will actually put it in the back of the net. You know what I mean? And not just, so I think, Dahlin, I could totally see him just continuing to grow. And Tage, for sure. I think Tage is going to take this team over, no doubt. He looked unbelievable last year.
And Dahlin, for me, that was another guy who was a victim of circumstance the previous couple of seasons. People say, well, he's never going to justify the first overall pick. Well, look what he had to deal with upon being drafted. Like, when he was drafted,
what he was put into.
Botterill, was it Botterill who made that pick?
I think.
Yeah, it was.
Would have been I think it would have been
No, it was a Botterill. Yeah, Botterill made the pick.
Yeah, it was Botterill.
Botterill made the pick. And then how many head coaches has he had? Already 3?
Yeah, he's another one.
And a guy.
Right, because they had didn't he have Housley? Because wasn't that the whole idea?
Housley, because obviously the pedigree of Phil Housley.
Right.
The offensive defenseman that he was.
Yep.
I still think that he holds records, at least with the Sabres, for points from a defenseman. And then he went from Housley to Ralph Kruger, of all people, who literally cut. He neutered Dahlin. He cut his balls right off, and it's just like, what do you expect? He's an off. That's not why you didn't draft Rasmus Dahlin to be a defensive.
Yeah, like a stay-at-home guy.
He's not a stay-at-home guy. No. He's not that guy. He is a guy who's going to go out there. He is going to put the other team on their heels when he enters the zone, and he's a very offensively gifted hockey player. And you neutered him with Ralph Kruger. And once you went from Ralph to Don, you really started to see the change in Dahlin's game. You started to see the change in Tage Thompson's game, along with a lot of the other players in this team, guys who finally started to really maximize their own potential. And I think those two players obviously stick out the most in Erasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson.
Yeah. Granado, not necessarily a big name around the league in terms of coaching.
In USA Hockey, he was.
Sure.
I remember. So when Ralph Kruger was fired and Don Granado was made the interim, I got a text message from Dave Starman, who is big college hockey analyst. He's in tight with USA Hockey. He flat out said to me, I'll see if I can bring it up here, but let me see. 1 second. I apologize.
Hey, that's
everybody.
all right.
He said, see if I can find it. A little ways back, he messaged me. Don Granado as head coach would be a great idea. Don't quote me on that. Don is brilliant. Best hockey mind I know, and I know a lot of them.
Wow.
He sent this to me on March 13th, right after the Kruger firing.
That's high praise.
I mean, but he's lived up to that praise, right?
100%.
Like, look what he's done with this team. He made them exciting to watch last season. He made them a team that competed every single game. When was the last time, probably since the 10-game winning streak, where we looked at this team, it's just like, not only are they exciting to watch, they're out there competing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out there competing.
Yeah.
They're out there, with the roster that they were putting out there and the goaltenders they were putting out there. 40-year-old Craig Anderson is your starter, out there making 30 saves a night. It was, he made them competitive, and that's what you need in a coach. And I know people, probably disagree, but I look back on a guy like Ted Nolan. He was the coach of the Buffalo Sabres. Ted Nolan was really good at getting the best out of mediocrity with those couple years he had with Buffalo.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, man. He had a friggin' world-class goaltender in Dominik Hasek, the greatest of all time. And, he had a bunch of players on his team that were average at best, and they were willing to skate through a wall for him.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those players, I've had them on my show, they will all say it about Teddy Nolan. He's like, we were willing to go to war for that guy.
Okay.
And that's the same thing with Don Granado. This team is willing to go to war for Don Granado.
Yep, I agree. That was what I noticed. Is it's amazing to finally have that chemistry back between the coach and the players.
Yes.
You're right. People are going out there and they will do anything for Don, and I love that. I love that, and I could tell he's just good in the locker room for sure.
100%. So I am happy that they I was skeptical about the Kevin Adams signing when they brought him on the GM, but he's really lived up to the position so far, at least. Don Granado. So I have full faith in that team of GM and coach. Something we haven't really seen since the early years of Darcy Regier and Ted Nolan. Darcy Regier and Lindy Rupp.
Yep.
Sorry, not Ted Nolan. But where the camaraderie between those positions, there isn't really any. There isn't any, discrepancies between them. Mm-hmm. There's no disagreements between them. There's no, drama with them.
Yeah.
They work well together. And I think that in part is key to building a successful hockey. It's not just about the players in the ice, having those two positions be locked down and have them working in lockstep with one another. That's so crucial into building a winner.
I feel like too, I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but I feel like neither of them are necessarily in a position where they can be divas or I feel like they have to work together, and they're doing well so far, and they are meshing well and making the most of their opportunities. Mm-hmm. So I think they're taking advantage of these opportunities that they've been given, and it's obviously it's reflecting on the on-ice product. Yeah, for sure.
100%. So transitioning out of that, obviously, where would you put Buffalo at least to start this season? First 10 games of the year. And I'll run down the schedule here if you have it right here.
Yeah.
I'll run down the schedule. They open up against Ottawa. Unfortunately, this is the first home opener I'm not going to be able to attend. I'm going to be in California for work. But I come back actually early the next morning. And then so their first 10 games, Ottawa, Florida, the Oilers, Calgary. They go on their West Coast trip almost right away. So they start with Ottawa, Florida. I mean, I think Ottawa is going to surprise a lot of people this year. I think, the additions to Brinkat and Giroux is going to go a long way from they've improved their goaltending. So I think they're going to be a sleeper team to really sneak in for a late playoff spot this year. Really
Yeah.
do. Florida, the Oilers, Calgary, kind of, in the middle of the spotlight in the offseason with the Matthew Tkachuk trade. They brought in Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, and then obviously Nazem Kadri. So that really still makes the Battle of Alberta with Edmonton still relevant. You're still going to have Kadri in there buzzing around, pissing people off. So that'll be exciting.
After the year he had, I'm excited to see where he goes with Calgary after that year he had in Colorado.
Yeah. Vancouver, Seattle, and they're back home against Montreal, Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning. I believe that's their first 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, the first 12 games. So those first 12 games, where would you put them record-wise? Because that's a tough road trip. Anytime you travel out west, especially right away, that's a difficult opening schedule without a doubt for Buffalo. But where would you put them in your opinion, at least, to start the season?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you rattled off Florida, Edmonton, Calgary right there. That's tough. But I mean, like you said, Ottawa might surprise some people, but I think the Sabres might also surprise some people.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, Ottawa, I would say a dub there. And, Seattle, I would assume a win, or you would hope. I don't know. It's tough. I think they're going to be middle of the pack right there after that. I would say somewhere in the middle. Just, Calgary will be an interesting game, but I think Edmonton and Florida take those two. I'm not sold on Vancouver, obviously.
No, Vancouver, I have that as a win.
Yeah,
I would put
that as a W.
Sure. I think that they split their first 6 games. I think they go 3-3. I think you get wins against Ottawa, Florida. You probably take an L against Edmonton and Calgary. Get the win against Vancouver. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You'll get wins against Seattle, Vancouver, and Ottawa, and I'll have them losing probably those 3 in a row to Florida.
That was my thought process.
Calgary. But I honestly, God, I really do think that at least that Florida and Edmonton game, they can go either way, man, because I think Florida's going to take a little while to really get things going. Just lose a guy, 120-point guy like Huberdeau, and just expect to pick up where you left off.
Tough loss in the
and
playoffs
Mackenzie
for them
Weegar,
too.
Yeah, Mackenzie Weegar, man, he was a very, very, very solid defenseman for them. So I don't know. That could go either way for me. Same thing with Edmonton. They always seem to play Edmonton well. So I would say that those 2 games could be. I have them starting off 3-3 to start the season, and then they after that Seattle game, they come back home to Buffalo. The first 4 games right off the rip: Montreal, Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. You could literally go 3-1 in that, if not 4-0. I really do believe. I don't put a lot of stock in Montreal this season.
Yeah.
The Slavoski pick, the guy looks like a brick shit house, but he doesn't look like he's so far lived at the hype of the first overall pick. Chicago, I mean, that team's just a tire fire right now. They're selling out for Connor Bedard. They're burning the whole thing down.
For sure.
The toughest game I think out of those 4 is Detroit, because I think Detroit's going to be good this season. And Pittsburgh,
not sold on Pittsburgh.
Not sold on Pittsburgh though. No.
Interesting,
really
because I was wondering where your loss was going to be there, because I was almost thinking Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
because I feel like they
Detroit
don't play Pittsburgh very well.
No, but I think Detroit's going to be the tougher game out of those 4 for me, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 2 games, Carolina and Tampa. I mean,
those are going to be tough.
It's going to be tough games. Obviously, Tampa. They've been to the Cup Finals, I think, like 4 out of the last 5 years or whatever it is.
Something ridiculous.
Guys, they're the blueprint, right? They're the blueprint of how you want to build a hockey team. Build through your core, through the draft, and then build, through free agency and trade around them. That's what they've done for the last decade. So that team right there, they're the blueprint, just like Chicago was before them.
Yeah.
And how to build a hockey team. So they could split that 1-1. But in their first 12 games, I honestly have them like 7-5.
Yeah.
7-5, roughly, maybe even 8-4. I really do believe that's how this team could pan out in that first 12 games.
Which is funny, because I feel like if we were in last season, or preseason last year going into that, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah.
But at 7-5, 8-4, honestly, from what I saw, the last game of the year and like that last little bit,
that stretch,
it's plausible.
They were one of the most competitive teams in the league.
They were so.
You were no longer coming into Buffalo expecting to win.
Man, that
every single time.
The RJ night, the last game of the season.
Oh my God!
I'll tell you right now, one of the
funnest
best games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, one of the fun, regular season games, one of the better games
I've
been to. Just,
yes,
it was an electric atmosphere. And then just for me, it's they've become a team that you just don't expect to go in and get a win. You're gonna have to go in there and fight now to get a win against Buffalo.
Yeah, you're not gonna chalk it up as an easy W there.
And obviously the last 2 games of that West Coast trip are Vancouver, Seattle, very winnable games. But you have 4 games in a row there that you realistically could win all of them. You could.
Yep.
I just think Detroit is probably a a tougher game there, and obviously 2 very losable games against Carolina and Tampa. They're always a tough team to play against. They have lapses in goaltending here and there, but again, a very difficult team. Rod Brindamore, always a tough coach to play against, so that could go either way. But again, this is a team that out of the first 12 games season, I do expect them to have a winning record.
Yeah. So. No, yeah, definitely at least above 500.
100%.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up here shortly. Obviously, the Pod-A-Thon has essentially wrapped up here. We're the kind of last podcast standing. And thanks again, Troy, for hopping out with me.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about your show, actually associated directly with Dave and Adams, The Chase, where you talk about the hobby of sports collecting. Obviously, I'm in here in a hobbyist wonderland. Essentially, this place is literally just. I used to go to a car place called Bases Loaded when I was a kid. And that's where I used to go. I used to ride my bike there all the time. I used to collect Sabres, but mostly Hashtag cards.
Yeah.
Still have a lot of them. I have a pretty decent collection, but I haven't collected in quite some time. But I'm in here, and it really kind of fires me up and wants to start getting me back into the hobby. So tell me about the show. Mm-hmm. Tell me, for the hockey fans watching, what's to get excited about when it comes to the hobby of sports collecting, card collected itself, and just talk to me as an ignorant, not enthusiast, but maybe I'm looking to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, as you can see, I'm kind of pouring myself out here, but we got The Chase. That is our Dave and Adams video podcast. We are on the air Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/DA Card World, all one word. Mm-hmm. Find us on there. Like Duane was saying before, it's kind of just a hodgepodge. We talk about collecting news, whether it's sports cards, but we've been getting into some other stuff too. Like the other day, we were talking about a well-known company in the hobby world, PSA, is starting to grade Funko Pops, right, to preserve them and obviously make them more collectible. So catch us. We have great interviews from people around the hobby. Obviously we're going to try to expand into getting hopefully some athletes on the show and talk to them about their collecting or, if they're collectors, that type of thing. But it's a lot of fun. We break cards every day or, every episode.
Those card breaks are actually fun to watch.
They're blessed.
I have friends that do it, and they have a good time with it as well.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast. So, just join us on there. 9 a.m. right now, but I will tell you that in a couple of weeks, pretty much at the start of November, we will be moving slots later in the day. So obviously our East Coast viewers, it'll be nice. It'll be a little later in the day for you guys, so you don't have to wake up too early. But of course, we're trying to get the West Coast viewers as well. So it'll be morning time for them. They can wake up with us, which will be a blast. Looking forward to that. But yeah, Dave and Adams, we're doing a lot of crazy stuff right now. Tomorrow, if you are around, we are at the Wings Flight of Hope lot on California. We're actually going to be doing a live box break from the tailgate.
That's cool.
10 a.m. So if you're at the Bills tailgate and you're, roaming around on California Road or you're in the Wings lot, definitely check out the Dave and Adams crew there. They will be there. So a lot of big things going on there. But for hockey wise, if we're talking just strictly hockey collectibles or sports cards, Upper Deck is the sole provider of NHL licensed sports cards.
We actually had somebody on from Upper Deck Hockey. I believe his name might have been Chris. In the early goings of Two Goalies, One Mic, and it was a really
Chris Carlin.
Yes,
that's
Chris Carlin. Yes, Chris Carlin. He was on with us, and it was a really cool. He gave away a box to a listener. We did
awesome.
We did a contest.
Good friend of Adams, actually.
We've actually discussed in the past about having him on again. So maybe when we have him on, we'll bring you on as a little crossover.
I would love to.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, Chris is actually working for another company now called Collectors, but obviously, he still has all the insider knowledge, everything about, hockey and the hobby. So yeah, Upper Deck, sole provider of NHL licensed cards. So something to get excited about is right now we are on the cusp of having 2022-2023 Upper Deck Series 1, which is what all hockey hobby collectors are raving about every year, and they always look forward to.
Yep.
Because that's where you get your young guns, they're called, and those are your true, most valuable rookie cards of players.
Yep.
So, for instance, if we're just strictly talking Buffalo here, young guns in Series 1, I believe, is going to be Owen Power and Quinn Hughes.
Ooh, yeah, there we go.
Are both going to be young guns rookie card in Series 1.
You mean
or Jack
Quinn. Yeah, sorry.
Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes at with Vancouver.
My fault. I meant Jack Quinn. Yes, Owen Power, Jack Quinn going to be in Series 1. And actually, I believe Dave and Adams is hosting a rip party. It's going to be the first week of November when Upper Deck Series 1 for 22-23 season does come out. We'll be doing a rip party here in the store, 8075 Sheridan Drive in Williamsville. So come out and check that out, of course. So that's going to be the exciting news for hockey collectibles right now. Of course, with Owen going to be here full time now, obviously called up and going to be starting. So his young gun will definitely be something you want to look forward to.
Yeah, it kind of gets me fired up. Like I said, I was a big collector when I was a kid, man. And, for me, it's not even just, I decide, I'll do it. No, I won't do it. It's just like, I just almost laziness, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really,
trust me, I know.
Laziness, just, but now that I've actually been here physically in this store, just to see what Dave and Adams has to offer, this is phenomenal, guys. Get down here. It's on Sheridan Road in Williamsville. Unbelievable atmosphere here. They have so much. If you're a Sabres fan, if you're a Bills fan, you're just an all-around collector, this is a spot where you guys want to be. This place is phenomenal.
Yeah, man. Come down and check it out for sure. Plenty to do. A great atmosphere if you are a collector to just come, hang out, rip cards, and just, have some 100%. Great conversation with, people in the Western New York community.
Yep, absolutely. But, Troy, dude, thanks for hopping on.
The Mega Powers right there.
Mega Powers. There we go. Yeah. But I was glad I was able to get down here and show you guys support, show Dave and Adams support.
Yeah, appreciate
show the very first day. This is the first annual Pod-A-THON, correct? Right?
I believe, Rant and Ron, I got a chance to work with him. Dave and Adams was obviously in conjunction, but he was putting it on. And I think he says he's done it in the past.
Here at Dave and Adams?
I don't know. This is the first time he has hosted it here, though.
Okay.
It's the first time he's doing it here.
Okay.
But it did sound like he really enjoyed the experience, and there was a good turnout, and he liked it. So I'm sure you should look out for more Pod-A-Thons coming to Dave and Adams in the future.
Glad I was able to get here and show support and have you on with us. We're going to rip this one out and wrap up the Dave and Adams Pod-A-Thon.
There it is in the books.
In the books, man. Number one. So with that being said, this has been Two Goalies, One Mic with Troy Licastro from The Chase, the Dave Adams podcast, The Chase. Follow him. Want to pump up your handle real quick?
Yeah, at @DA_The Chase, all one word. That's on Instagram and on Twitter.
And your own personal handle?
Yeah, at Licastro. That's LICASTRO _Troy.
Awesome. So, and obviously you can follow me at Duane S39. You see it right there on the screen, and at Two Goalies, One Mic on all platforms and on YouTube. Make sure you give us a follow there. This has been Two Goalies, One Mic signing off with Troy Licastro from the Chase Podcast at Dave and Adams Card World. You guys have a great night, and I'll hang up and listen.